everyone. Welcome to another awesome day of FileMaker training. I'm Richard Carlton, creator of FM Training TV, where every day we are doing great FileMaker training. And I am back from my my 2-month training assignment, getting my ass kicked by the FAA. That's the Federal Aviation Administration. I am back full-time, full speed. I'm going to cover this briefly for next week. So we're going to be off for 2 weeks over Christmas and then until like January 2nd, thereabouts. Next week is another action-packed week. This is a inaccurate icon. I am the broadcast engineer today. Margaret will be presenting. So Margaret's had a challenging day already, figuring out what it's like to go from knowing material to being able to instruct on something, and you find out how much more you have to. It's one thing to fly a helicopter, for someone to train you how to be a helicopter pilot as an instructor or training in FileMaker. The depth is
I much prefer just being the broadcast engineer who smiles at people and then collects people's questions.
Yes. So today I am the quintessential broadcast engineer. My job is to just make sure it all works and your questions get answered. So for those of you wondering, Margaret hasn't presented since she was 18. When she was 18, she helped present at DevCon. And so I presented on FiAS.
It was on FiAS, and I did the command line for FiAS,
So what I did is I presented, and in the middle of it, about halfway through, I needed to take a break for my voice and to get a drink, and I would let Margaret practice about 8 to 10 minutes of the presentation. She was in front of 1,200 people or something presenting this material. And she hasn't really done it since then, but she hangs out with us here. So we all want to be supportive of her. I'm going to ask questions of her, but she is a big fan of Open Quickly, which I don't give a flying about because I'm old and I don't use that.
It wasn't made for you, yes.
Wasn't made for anyone over probably the age of 40. So some of you are younger, like Jesse, and some of you are younger here. Welcome to a younger episode where the old people have to go, back in the day, I walked 5 miles in the snow uphill and I didn't use an Open Quickly. Right, so we're going to get going on that. Margaret, I'm going to go full screen on you here. You are here.
Are we good?
Why don't you jump into your PowerPoint? Well, you're going to demo it real quick.
Well, I was going to show people what it actually looks like.
The backup. So I'm going to ask you the question.
Yes.
You know what the first question is? Who are you and why should we give a is why I ask everyone.
I'm Margaret. You know me as your broadcast engineer 90% of the time. I am an intermediate-ish level developer. Where I sit on the intermediate level kind of bounces depending on what we're talking about. I'm talking about a feature called Open Quickly, which was really controversial and was recently heftily changed with the 21.1 release. If you care about searching in your FileMaker database, like basically an application-wide search at all, so you don't have to have your fingers leave the keyboard, then you probably want to use Open Quickly. I know there's a lot of developers out there that are keyboard enthusiasts. Basically, the more you use your mouse, the more points you lose in the game. The slower you go.
Okay.
So if you want to use your keyboard basically to navigate through your FileMaker file as quickly as possible and find things really quickly, Open Quickly is for you. Okay, so Command K or Control K, if you are Windows, opens up the little Open Quickly.
Stop. You're Open Quickly, but there's no FileMaker files open.
Correct. All you need to do is you need to have FileMaker in focus. Basically, it needs to be the application you have clicked on. There doesn't need to be files open. There doesn't even need to be this window open, frankly. I could close it. All I need is this in my... I don't know what it is for Windows. I'm sorry. Whatever the focus equivalent is in Windows, you need to have FileMaker be the focus. And then if you hit Command K, Open Quickly will always pop up.
Well, the FileMaker got rebuilt a couple, 2-3 years ago with the modern interface. So it mostly works like the Mac. So can I have the Windows people confirm as we go how this works? But yeah, okay. So now, Open Quickly, what can we do?
You can do a lot. I'll get into details of it, but I'll do some basic things. If I look for Open Quickly demo,
now we don't have any open files. I'm
going to do is open a file. Yes, okay. It'll bring up a list of files. You're like, which files are in the list? Your computer has to have indexed it, I think, to some extent. There's no detailed write-up on this, but I have found that it tends to pick favorites. It tends to pick files that you have recently clicked.
Yeah.
If you have a local file on your desktop, it will not recognize it until you have manually clicked it and opened it at least once.
Okay.
So it has to have been recently within your purview for it to find it. I have tried to find files on other computers that have not been opened in a century on that computer in computer years, and Open Quickly will not locate it for me.
Okay.
So
Okay, so we're here now. Once we're in, what can we do?
Basically, I'm going to navigate. I'm going to do the basic first thing that pops up, which is go to a layout. I'm going to open a layout. Since I know the number, I'm going to type in the number and it'll show up the layout that I'm looking for. This is Open Quickly works best if you appropriately name your layout scripts, tables, fields, and table occurrences. If you kind of name things willy-nilly, the search function isn't going to help a lot because you'll look up print layout and 5 print layouts will show up. So,
or print label or something, yeah.
I'm going to I could hit return here and it would automatically swap to the layout. But if like the base window would swap, but if we're like, nah, I don't want to actually leave my base window, I can do this again. Hold Option. This is Option for both Windows and Mac. Hit enter and ta-da, you have a new window open without ever actually having to go do new window. If you want to interact with the script, pretty much the same thing. I'm going to type in close window. I can do this. I open this quick script workspace. Or if I do Command K and I do close window, I can hold Option and I can hit enter and it actually runs the script.
Back up, do that again. So if you don't hold the Option and you see a script, what does that do?
If you're full access, which we'll get into details later, it'll open up the script workspace.
Okay, yeah, and then
yeah, okay. That gets complicated, which is why I wasn't going into super detail
quick, just
on
for fun, show that you can go to the table.
I was going to do a table occurrence, yes.
Do that,
let's do, I'm going to try, remembering the name of the table occurrences I have a hard time with sometimes, so we're going to do ID contact. We're going to scroll, and then we're going to click this one. So you're like, okay, it opened up the relationship field, but where is the table occurrence? It highlights it in blue. For some reason, the current version of Open Quickly will not center what you're looking for. So quickly scan it'll be on your screen. It will be on this screen somewhere. Look for whatever is highlighted in blue, and that's where it is. I don't know if
that blue is my computer or it's something.
I think that's part of FileMaker, because whenever you click on an actual see, it highlights in blue, right?
I know, but I don't know if I set that on my computer. I don't remember. Yeah. So if some of you guys folks confirm that you see blue or see another color, and if you're on Windows, what do you see?
Yeah, mine might be an orange because all of my colors are set to orange on my laptop, for example.
Yeah.
Okay, I think about it.
Let's go ahead and jump into PowerPoint, Margaret, and you can walk people through the mechanics of this, because there are some important subtleties to this. So.
Yes. Funnily enough, this is called FileMaker Open Quickly. Richard had a realization about the acronym for it, which I will not be saying out loud because I like Jeremy and I don't want him to suffer. We always have this in all of our presentations. This is a topic that is meant for pretty much everyone from a brand new developer onward. You can use this. It's not... The intricacies of it can get complicated, but the actual using of it is not complicated. What is Open Quickly? I did just kind of show off it, but the definition that I decided on was it is an application-wide search function for FileMaker that can access the schema. By schema, I mean layouts, script workspace, managed database, tables, fields, relationships. It also can pull up files directly. This is the official Claris definition. The Open Quickly box provides quick access to your FileMaker Pro custom apps and, depending on your privileges, to the layouts and scripts in the current file or in all of your open files. Hi, Claris. We're going to go over some stuff that Claris has talked about in Open Quickly because their engineering blog is technically incorrect on 2 points.
Wait. Say that again. You said that their engineering blog is technically incorrect?
Correct. I'll bring that up at the very end if you're reading through it because I technically have a link to it. Anyway, that's the official Claris definition. I looked up to see if there's an official term for this because the Spotlight search for Mac is the same thing. But there's no official term for this kind of search function, or at least Wiki didn't give me one. So why add Open Quickly? When Open Quickly was added, it caused a kerfuffle. It caused a kerfuffle for a couple reasons.
A kerfuffle, that's a thing?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it is a thing. I'm pretty sure it's a thing. If it's not, then it's a new Margaret word. Congrats. Why add Open Quickly? A lot of people are like, why would you even bother to waste time adding this feature? Where are my horizontal portals? Haven't I suffered enough? I don't need this. I would suggest that it was not designed for you. The Open Quickly is extremely similar to Spotlight or similar search technology, which pretty much every application has these days. Navigating computers, phones, etc. are done via search. If you are pretty much my age or younger, I am 27. I was born in 1997. I am considered by most people to be the oldest year for the Zoomer generation. This is essentially Spotlight for FileMaker. It is a way of connecting with younger developers. It is a promise from FileMaker, essentially, or at least that they are thinking about updating the software as how development happens changes over the years. I will fight people on this. I threatened Andy Lacates over it. He was very gentle and nice about it because he brought up the fact that there was a strong advocacy to remove it from the application entirely. I will fight you if you think it should be removed from the application. It's easy to ignore at this point, especially with the added security privileges in 21.1, which you will get into. But its benefit and it makes the application feel like it's not 30 years old. I can bounce around it the way that I bounce around my laptop. When Richard had me initially, because I was one of the very first testers for OpenQuickly, when Richard had me test it initially.
Before it ever shipped. Yeah,
yes.
You were a prototype tester, yeah.
I tested it when the ETS, when Richard had me do a video of it. And in the very first thing I did in that video, because he did not tell me what I was testing. He had me discover it. But the very first thing I do in that video is I did not remember the keyboard shortcut command for the status toolbar, so I promptly went and I used the search function that FileMaker had already to go find and enable the status toolbar. Okay. That's how I interact with computers. And that's how a lot of people my age and younger are going to interact with computers. So this is really cool. I was ecstatic when I realized that they had added this feature, and it is probably my favorite thing they've added to the platform in years. How does OpenQuickly work? You kind of saw the basics. The very basics are Command-K or Control-K will bring up the search box. Use arrows to navigate, return to select. You can also scroll with your mouse and click. For some reason, if you're like looking for something, you're like, oh, I don't actually know the exact name, you can scroll. That is always an option. It gets more complicated from here because there is also the option key, which allows you to do different things. The problem is what that option key will allow you to do depends on your security privileges. And that brings us to this discussion. There are levels of OpenQuickly depending on your security access. So OpenQuickly has 3 levels. It is off completely. Your user privilege set does not have access to it at all, which means that Command-K will do nothing except interact with whatever the Command-K and the baseline operating system does. So if you have this, you cannot interact with it or touch it or work with it whatsoever. And then there is some level of access. Users, basically the privilege set has a little checkbox turned on, which I will show you, which means that users can access some parts of OpenQuickly. They can open files, they can jump to layouts, they can make layouts in new windows, and they can run scripts. They cannot open the script workspace. They can just run scripts.
It can run a script that has been set to be exposed, right? Is that what it does? It runs exposed?
Yeah, I have a little slide that has all the little requirements for the layouts and the scripts.
Cool. So we have off, we have some, then we have all, right?
And all can do all the stuff, yes. So
so the deal is that once again, this is organized by Margaret. This is not the way Claris will explain it or organize it. I think the people who wrote this up at Claris and coded it at Claris probably don't use it because most of them are older. And so once again, it takes a Zoomer to know a Zoomer. I guess I would say it that way. So yeah, so off, some, and all. So if you want to continue, Margaret, that's great.
Yep. Now, all basically opens files, jump to layouts, run scripts, open the script workspace, jump to tables, fields, and relationships. Full access can do everything with it. So OpenQuickly shipped in 21.0 or FileMaker 2024. Pick what you want to call it. It caused like I said earlier, we were talking about, it caused a massive kerfuffle. OpenQuickly potentially enabled users to access and interact with parts of your database they were never meant to see. So this caused a lot of issues because if you have a maintenance layout or you have a delete record script or you have all your special little developer tricks, generally It's going to be really hard for a user to meander their way into that because they don't have the buttons to interact with it. You can hide the status toolbar. All of that jazz means that it is difficult to get, if you have designed your database, your UI appropriately, you have cordoned off your users into a little small area they can't mess with. Open quickly allows them to jump fences. Sometimes they jump fences into a park, and it is fine. They have meandered their way where no harm can be done. Sometimes they have jumped the fence into the nuclear reactor, and everything can go really wrong. So basically, if you're a security fanatic, you saw all the potential ways this could spin out from underneath you, and you panicked accordingly. Um, we're gonna hop back to this slide a lot. I'm gonna first explain the next one real fast. So basically, Open Quickly was always available to end users. There was no way to turn off the fact that they had access to Open Quickly. It was just there. If you had Command K and you realized that Command K did a thing, you could use it, and it was always on, and there was nothing you could do about it. The only way to get rid of it was to fully remove user access to layouts and scripts. And like, how do you do that? And we're going to back up. The checkboxes, the little magical checkboxes. They might be a different color for you. Everything on my laptop is orange because that's who I am. But these little checkboxes right here, like nya and nya, if they are checked, they will appear and open quickly. It's a little complicated, but basically if it's checked, it would appear and open quickly. A lot of developers like to leave these on because they have, like, I know that close window, for example, is a really popular script to have hanging out there. So if you have accidentally stuck yourself in a card window, you can close it. If you forgot to add the escape thing or an X. I know that I used to do this before OpenCLE was a thing. In the status toolbar, there's that little drop-down menu in the top left, and you drop down, and it shows you all of the layouts to go wiggling your way in between. So people leave that checked. It was really difficult for users to find that, so there was no harm in it. The problem was that the checkbox wasn't just for that anymore. It was also for Open Quickly. So caused issues. Basically, this was a security risk, and it made a lot of people really angry.
Yeah, let me give a little background on this. You can take a drink real quick, Margaret. The issue for those of you wondering about this is that if you build a solution, like I turn off the scripts, right? I turn off the scripts, and I only have a couple scripts at the top generally, unless they're in active development, because I know the users can find those pretty easily. So I shut those off, and that made sense. But the issue is that I would leave the layouts turned on because users generally wouldn't find that. And if they did find it, most of them realized it was a long list and it was probably bad and they should stay away from it. And so it was kind of intimidating. And generally with a lot of customers, they're not malicious people. They're not out trying to screw you or the organization. If they do something wrong, it's by accident. They're not malicious. Once again, I'm assuming that you have a company that has reasonable people in it. And so that's generally the way I operated. And when Claris built this, they were like, well, if you build your solution correctly, you haven't turned these on. And I'm like, well, I leave them on because it's a lot easier for me to navigate around in browse mode when I'm debugging what the customer's doing. Because otherwise, the only way to switch layouts is to go to layout mode, then back to browse mode. It about doubles the workload for me and the mental gymnastics of doing that. So scripts are generally off, layouts are generally on, and Open Quickly broke all that. Somewhere along the line, Claris's attitude changed, and it wasn't my attitude. My guess, and you can take this to the bank, that someone went down there and told them that they should fix this, otherwise it's going to cause a problem for them and we can't upgrade. So there was some sort of mayhem that went on, and suddenly engineering decided, oh my God, this is a problem. And that's because sales told them it was a problem. So that is where we're at. So if you're on 21.0, and this in any way concerns you, upgrade to 21.1. Otherwise, you can just wing it, and hopefully no one runs into this, because they can and will run into it. All right? So with that, Margaret, I'm going to jump back to you and let you continue the conversation. I've covered the backstory. Let me see if there are any questions. Yeah. So Jesse, you folks understand, right? So it's kind of, yeah.
No, the security adjustments that we're about to talk about were very necessary. It's just that some people were suggesting that the answer was delete the feature entirely.
You didn't want that, and I don't want people. I don't want to have to kill myself debugging layouts,
Yes,
right? So
yeah, no. Surprisingly, unshockingly, there's a middle ground to be obtained other than complete disaster and deleting entirely. Okay, I'm going to call it Rev 2 because this is now Rev 2. How does Rev 2 of Open Quickly work? Basically, as of 21.1, Open Quickly is still available to your end users. You can still give it to them. However, they must now have a privilege set enabled in their account. This is disabled by default. So if you open up a fresh FileMaker file and you go look at read, what's it called? Read
data entry
only,
or
data
data entry.
entry, and view
Yeah.
only. Both of those have Open Quickly automatically disabled. They're just not as an option. Full access has it enabled because full access is full access. If for some reason you don't want full access to have Open Quickly, I don't
Yeah,
know.
you have bigger problems.
Yeah, you have other issues. So, uh, basically, full access can access files, layouts, script workspace, tables, fields, and relationships. Everything else, oh, hold on. Well, basically, everything else can access files, layouts, and run scripts. They cannot open the script workspace. They can only run scripts. So, if you don't want them running scripts at all, but you want to have them give them open quickly, you're going to have to decheck mark your scripts because that'll get rid of the option available to them. So what does this privilege set look like? You go and you click the privilege, you hit edit the privilege set. It is not under extended privileges. It is underneath other privileges, along with printing, exporting, all that jazz. You have allow open quickly access to layouts and scripts. If you click that, the privilege set and all those accounts attached to that privilege set will have the option to use it.
So just to clarify, this is the sum level. Remember we talked 3 levels, totally
Yes,
off, some functionality and then all functionality. And this is
correct.
the
This is the sum functionality.
yeah,
So,
some of it works.
yes, some of it works. There is no way to give all functionality, but why would you want to?
Yeah.
If you want them to have all the functionality, just make that account a full access account. Okay. So, open quickly criteria for accounts. Oh, here we go. Here's the list. So this is the criteria for the sum functionality. For if you want layouts and scripts to appear to these people, they each have to meet 3 criteria. For layouts, you have to have that privilege. I can speak English. It's the only language I know. If you want them to see the layout, they have to have the privilege set enabled. The account has to have view only or modifiable privileges for layouts, and it has to be included in the layout menus, aka the little checkbox has to be on the layout. It has to be checked. If any one of these criteria is not met, they won't be able to find that layout via Open Quickly. The same goes for scripts. Basically, you have to allow Open Quickly access, the privilege set enabled, the account has to have executable or modifiable privileges for scripts. And the scripts are set to include in the script menu. The little checkbox has to be checkmarked. So if you want to give some access, but you're like, I don't want them on these layouts or these scripts, then you're going to have to uncheck mark them, essentially. So
yeah, this is the sum functionality, and it's important that right there that they're saying this is the full, which is developer level, right? Because
yes, this is kind of a basic thing. If you're like, what order does the stuff in the Open Quickly thing show up in? It'll go files first, then layouts, then scripts, then tables, then fields, then relationships. I was initially kind of confused because I couldn't find the tables, fields, or relationships. You just got to scroll down. As there tend to be a lot of layouts and a lot of scripts, if you do not have a very specific thing in mind, there might be a lot of scrolling involved. Okay, here are some other factors. 21.1 made it so by default, Open Quickly looks first through the current file. One of the cool things about Open Quickly is that if you have multiple files open, you can bounce back and forth via the search function, and it'll pop back and forth between the 2 files. But that was the default behavior for 21.0, which made it kind of irritating because you wanted to focus on the current file and not bounce between files, and you happen to have a lot of other databases open, which I have usually 3 open at any given time, depending on what I'm doing. That got irritating really fast. So they added a little thing. It's a little blue thing, which I'm going to show right here. This little blue thing right here, that is by default on. Control spacebar we'll turn that on or off, so you don't ever have to actually click it if you do not feel like having to actually click anything, which kind of defeats the purpose. So, okay. There is a funny hangup with Open Quickly. Custom menus. I don't use custom menus a ton, so my knowledge on this isn't super detailed, but I had a bit of an issue yesterday when I was trying to like make sure that I knew what I was talking about with this. I began testing it on a fresh version of FMSP. The home layout of FMSP has a custom menu. Open Quickly would not work because Open Quickly had not been added to that custom menu. If you have a custom menu enabled and Open Quickly has not been added, Open Quickly is not an option available to them. It's basically like turning it off. So, but that custom menu has to be everywhere. The moment I left that layout to a layout that didn't have a custom menu, I could then Open Quickly once more. So, there is some details with this. If you have a custom menu with Open Quickly but no script menu, this won't block access to all scripts. I'm not entirely sure on this. Claris says this is the case, and I didn't get around to testing it, so maybe this isn't true, but I'm hoping it is. Don't rely on hiding the scripts menu by using a custom menu to block Open Quickly access to all scripts. This doesn't matter if a script's included in the scripts menu, aka the little checkbox, is checked. So basically, if you're like, oh, if I just hide the scripts menu, then they shouldn't be able to access the scripts. That's not the case. If the checkbox is checked, it's going to show up in the search function when they look for whatever it is. If you try to use a custom menu instead of the privilege set to dodge Open Quickly, that's not going to work for the script access. So Option does some interesting things. Option gets finicky depending on the level of access you have. When you have some access to Open Quickly, Option will pretty much only do one thing. It'll open new layouts and new windows. So if you are a end user and you are like, I would like a new window, please, and then you type in whatever the name of the layout is that you're trying to go to, contacts 300, and you hold Option down, you will have the option to open a new window. But if you are looking for a script close window for some reason, and you look for close window, there is no option for an account that has some access to Open Quickly because the only option they have is to just run the script. The option for the script menu is only for full access because full access has the ability to swap between script workspace and also actually running the script. So since the some access doesn't have access to script workspace, the option on script will do nothing for them.
Doesn't do anything for them. Okay.
So I think we're getting towards the end. Yeah, okay, this is the actual engineering blog with the 21.1.
You want to bring this up real quick? This is kind of fun.
Yes, I will bring this up. Okay, so this was, first of all, the additions they added to Open Quickly, S tier, amazing, fantastic, A+. The write-up on it was a little tweaky. It tells you in here, like here's right here, that Open Quickly exists in 19.0. I went and checked because I was like, is my memory failing? Was this a thing? Have I been depriving myself for the last several years of using Open Quickly? No, because it didn't exist. So it tells you in here that it worked in 19 and 20. Yeah, in versions 19 and 20. Open Quickly was not available. So the other thing they tell you is that the security problem wasn't that bad. And they claim it wasn't that bad because you could only access layouts. If I go layout, see, we're going to do a search function mode. Okay. It was in here somewhere. Maybe I'm full of crap. Okay. In layout mode. Basically, I read this correctly. Or maybe I'm reading this wrong, but to me, this reads like they're claiming that if the account had layout mode access, then it could use Open Quickly to jump between layouts. And if it didn't have layout mode access, then it wasn't a problem. That's not true. 21.0, it doesn't matter if the account has layout access or not. If you have 21.0 and the little check mark, all that matters is the checkbox. If your checkbox is clicked on that layout, your users can go there whenever they feel like it. They do not need layout mode access for this. I tested this actually briefly on my laptop, which still has 21.0 instead of 21.1. And yeah, the account that I tested it on did not have layout mode access. So, rest of this I think seems fairly accurate from my experience with how Open Quickly works. It's fine. But if you read this article, which I will link to you, and you're like, man, this existed in 19? No. And the security issue was actually pretty severe. Like I said, it didn't have to be a problem. If your users were oblivious to Open Quickly, or they jumped the fence and they jumped into a field of daisies, that's fine. But they could also meander their way straight into the nuclear reactor and hit the little button that sets it off. So thank you everyone for coming. This feature won't be for everyone, and that's fine. For people who do use it and like it, have a blast. It's like I said, it's one of my favorite features they've added to the platform in years.
Jesse's giving you high fives. She likes the job. Good job.
Thank you, Jesse. I appreciate it.
Yeah, so Friday's Friday. So this is the feature on this. I learned some stuff by watching Margaret do this, including all sorts of bits and pieces. Then Monday, Nick will be back. And then, like I said, please save the date coming up for if I so this is the upcoming, once again, January 21. It's a Tuesday. We're going to start this off, and the goal is to take you from your level 12 migraine headache to being happy with what you see. If you folks have, and I mean this very seriously, if you have questions about FileMaker, and Ken has sent me some questions, some of you sent questions in, please send them in, because what we'll do is we'll get them answered, but we'll probably try to thread them into this conversation here, right? Once again, I'm working on what day 1 is, day 2 is. I'm going to publish essentially what the days are. Those will be loosely accurate, but we may, if we have days where it gets really in the weeds and people have good questions or engaging, either the show will run a little bit longer, or we will add another day and insert a day in there. So this used to be 30 days of training. We've done this now twice already, and this will be the third instance. It started off at 30 days. Last time it was 45 days. And this one, I just added another 2 weeks because I knew that's what happened. So we want to make sure that you're successful. You get the help you need. And anything I can do to get you over the hump in terms of questions, I want to be helpful for you. I really do. And so I want to make sure. So send any questions to support at RC Consulting. Put I hate Richard or whatever on there, live stream something, so they know to direct it to me, because tech support answers it. I see some of them, but I don't read all of it. Actually, I do see all of them, but yeah, do me a favor, just put something on there so they know it's for me. That'll get directed, and then that's it for now. So we'll catch everyone Monday. Greatly appreciate it. Have a safe weekend. All right, everyone, have a good one. Catch you Monday. See ya!